This is a decent neighborhood. We don't want your kind bringing down property values with your ghetto barbecues and loud music." Those words, sharp and venomous, just sliced the air on what should have been a perfect Saturday afternoon. You ever have a moment that doesn't just ruin your day, it rips the fabric of your world, you know? I froze right there, a piece of grilled chicken halfway to my plate, tongs still in my hand. Sun was warm. Laughter of my kids was the only music I needed. Until it wasn't, because all that got drowned out by that voice at the fence, a voice that felt like it had been waiting to pounce since the day we moved in. We'd worked for years to get here, you know what I mean? This backyard was more than just grass and a grill. It was proof that hard work, sacrifice, even a little hope, could pay off. It was our sanctuary, our new beginning, until that hostility showed up in a pastel polo, hair sprayed into a helmet, blue eyes cold as steel. She had the look of someone who wrote angry notes to the HOA about the wrong kind of mailbox. My wife, Sarah, just laid her fork down and met her stare, all grace and calm on the outside. But I could see it. There was a fire behind her eyes. My son, 10, looked to me confused. My daughter, just 7, started to shrink into herself, the magic gone from her face. I tried to keep it together. "I think you're mistaken, ma'am. This is our property." She just spit the word property back at me like it was an insult, stepped right into my wife's flower bed, told us she'd lived here 25 years, that she knew who belonged. And, in her eyes, it wasn't us. You people. Squatters. Criminals. She gave us one chance to pack up and leave before she called the police. The audacity, the pure gall, my name's on the deed, our mortgage, the housewarming mat was a gift from my mother. But to her, our skin was all the evidence she needed. She cut Sarah off when she tried to speak, fingers shaking, voice rising, spouting her wild theories about parties, drugs, crime, the downfall of her precious neighborhood. You want to fight back, you want to shout, but I knew. If I got angry, if I raised my voice, I became the thread in her story, the monster she'd already written. So, I took a breath and told her, as calm as I could, that she was trespassing and needed to leave. She pulled her phone, started dialing, fingers flying. "I'm calling the police. I'm going to tell them there are vagrants who broke into the Ainsworth place and are threatening a senior." She called them, and as I heard her spin her story to the dispatcher, I looked at my family and realized this wasn't just a ruined lunch. It was the start of a battle for our home. The sirens, when they came, felt like the world holding its breath. For some, it's the sound of rescue. For us, a coin toss. Heads, you get justice. Tails, you're a headline. My wife shielded our kids. The neighbor woman looked smug, arms crossed, waiting for her cavalry. 2 officers, white, one older, one younger, showed up. They didn't even use the front gate, just came round the side, hands on their belts, eyes scanning. The woman ran to meet them, tears and panic suddenly her whole thing, pointing at our grill like it was a crime scene. They broke in. He threatened me. She was weaving her story, and, for a second, even I felt like I was intruding on my own life. The older cop, Officer Miller, addressed me. "We received a complaint about a break-in and threats. Is this your property?" His tone was neutral, but in that moment, neutrality felt like a question mark on my humanity. "Yes, officer. It is." I made sure my hands were visible, voice steady, fighting down the mix of rage and fear. Sarah and the kids stood beside me. The neighbor woman jumped in, demanding they call the previous owners, convinced we had to be criminals. Then came the ask for ID. That was the real indignity. Being told to prove you belong in your own home, all because someone decided you don't look the part. I nodded, explained where my wallet was, moved slow as molasses. One twitch, one wrong move, I could become a statistic. "May I retrieve my wallet?" I asked. "Slowly, sir," said Officer Davis, hand not leaving his sidearm. My heart thudded in my ears. I handed over my license, told them I had the deed in the house. The neighbor woman, her name was Beatrice, I'd later learn, saw the tide shifting and doubled down, screaming about forged documents and criminal masterminds. It was surreal. Officer Miller asked me to get the paperwork, but as I turned, she screeched that I was running for a weapon. Davis's hand went to his gun. My son started to cry. The world slowed down. I stopped, turned, hands up. "I'm going to get the documents you asked for. They're on the counter." Officer Miller, seeing the tension, asked Sarah to get them instead. Through all of this, Beatrice was spinning wild stories, painting us as criminals in a drama she'd invented. Sarah handed over the folder. Officer Miller flipped through, compared my license to the deed, checked the dates. Beatrice's desperation curdled into rage. "How much did they pay you?" she hissed at Officer Miller. "You're corrupt." Suddenly, the cops weren't her friends anymore. The line had been crossed. "Ma'am, you need to stop talking immediately," Davis warned, but she kept going, now shrieking about her rights and demanding we be arrested. The air shifted. The spell broke. Now the focus was on her. Miller handed back our documents, his look saying more than words could. He turned to Beatrice and began ticking off her offenses, filing a false report, harassment, disturbance, accusing a police officer. She stammered, accused him of being in on it. "You have the right to remain silent," Davis began as he took out the cuffs, the click echoing louder than any words. She screamed, tried to pull away, threatening lawsuits and firings, but the game was up. Neighbors began to trickle out, watching as their self-appointed queen was led across the lawn in cuffs. Miller apologized to us, gave us his card, promised to file the report. Beatrice, all fury and victimhood, was pressed up against the patrol car window as they drove her away. Silence settled over the neighborhood, an awkward, heavy quiet. But if you think that's where it ended, you haven't lived in suburbia. The internet had a field day. Posts in the Facebook group painted her as a martyr, us as the villains. "They got her arrested for nothing," the comments said. The gossip grew, snowballing, until people who'd never met us had an opinion about our supposed party and our wild behavior. Our son's attempt to join soccer was stonewalled. Our packages were left in the rain. Newspapers vanished. The hardware store ignored me. It was a slow-motion siege, death by 1,000 paper cuts, polite words with knives behind them. We tried to keep our heads up. "We have the police report. The truth will come out," I told Sarah, but she saw it clearer than I did. In this game, home field advantage isn't about who's right. It's about who's known. The silent, averted eyes told us everything. At night, the feeling of being watched pressed in. Sarah whispered she didn't feel safe. I tried to reassure her, but the truth was, I didn't either. And then, as if summoned by our isolation, Arthur, our elderly neighbor with the roses, stepped in. He'd heard the whole thing from his kitchen window. "You folks did nothing wrong," he told the cops, cutting through Beatrice's web with a few words. Later, he shared the real history, how Beatrice had ruled the HOA for years, a casserole coven queen, her power built on fear and gossip. He offered a lawyer's number, stood by us when the tide was rising. When his simple, honest endorsement got my son a friend, Leo, the boy with the red bike, it was like the first crack of light in weeks. Our lawyer, Daniel Sterling, gave us a plan. We'd fight back, both in court and in the community. Document every slight, every fine, every cold shoulder. Start volunteering, go to meetings, show the neighborhood who we really were. When Beatrice's lawyer sent a cease and desist, accusing us of slander, Daniel was delighted. "It's evidence," he said. Beatrice escalated, fed her story to the paper, painted herself as a misunderstood grandmother, her supporters swarming the comments, while our names were kept out, but everyone knew. Then the threats got physical. Someone keyed thugs into our car door. Police couldn't do much, but the line had been crossed. We put up cameras, braced for worse, and soon it came. Beatrice's GoFundMe went viral, casting us as the villains. Our address and photos were doxed. Threats arrived by mail, phone, DM, racist, violent, unhinged. Our children's lives shrank. Our daughter drew sad pictures. Our son checked the locks each night. But Daniel was relentless. He got the HOA to cough up years of records, revealing Beatrice's decade-long campaign against every non-white family, every friend who didn't fit. Her son's arrest for a hate crime years earlier put the final nail in her story. She was a slumlord with a trail of discrimination lawsuits, the queen of a kingdom of fear. Daniel planned the final strike. Give Beatrice one last chance. Plead guilty, apologize, donate her GoFundMe to a justice charity, pay us a settlement, or face public exposure of her entire life's hate. Meanwhile, her casserole coven allies in the HOA kept bombarding us with fines. Grass too tall, hose not coiled, welcome mat too chatty. We sent every letter to Daniel. Perfect, He'd say, "It's evidence." The petty war reached its peak at the monthly HOA meeting. The room full of stares and whispers, the board run by her best friends, the air thick with judgment. You know, you can live somewhere, but until you're tested, you never really know who your neighbors are. Some turn away. Some fight beside you. Some, like Arthur, show courage that's contagious. In the end, that's what this whole story is about. The fight isn't just for a piece of property or a patch of grass. It's for the soul of the place you call home, for the right to belong, to exist with dignity, no matter what you look like. And that fight, it isn't over, not by a long shot. Because even after the truth comes out, even after the law catches up, the echoes of what happened here, what happens in towns like this all across America, linger on. So what do you think? Is it ever possible to really change a place? Or are some battles just fought over and over by new families, in new backyards, with new scars? Let me know in the comments. What would you have done? And where do you draw the line between standing your ground and just wanting to live in peace? If you've ever faced injustice, share your story. If you think justice was served, or if the community failed, tell us why. This is your conversation now, not just mine.